Good morning, my magnificent friends. Here we are, Friday again, and tea with Sue. I'm Sue Paulson, your magnificence mentor. It's such a delight to be here again this week. The topic this week was triggered by a series of events that just hit me big time over the last few days. So earlier in the week, I traveled to a friend to help her with a big move. We were packing up all of her stuff so that she could transition and move across the country to retire and be with her family and create a new life for herself. Well, we've been friends since 1974. We've been through thick and thin. We've been through all kinds of trauma and drama, triumphs and tragedies. So this is a big deal for her. And I discovered it was a big deal for me because when I am connected with someone, I don't like to let go. And the idea that she was going to be a couple thousand miles away, and even though with technology we can connect face to face, it still is not the same as the 3-hour drive I could have to just be with her in person. So as I was helping with the packing, my back started to twinge and then it started to seize up. Well, I know from my whole history that when I'm faced with something big emotionally, that it will hit me in my body somewhere. My body will send a signal that all is not quite as it should be, that I've moved out of that state of balance into something different. Well, I'm panicking because I don't want this back to take me down. I don't want to be debilitated because I'm there to help. So as the pressure kind of built, then I'm going deeper inside to say, what is this all about? Okay, obviously there's something that I'm not facing and I'm not dealing with. So what is it? And I began to get this flood of information that the the foundation of my life was starting to shake, and it wasn't as stable, and it wasn't just this particular friend moving away, but it was other people in my life for whom things are not going all that well. So I have my dear sister who has been struggling to live a life with cancer for over 4 years now, is beginning to make her final journey home. And I get a panic phone call while I'm away. And this hits me hard. And so, but in bygone years, because I was brought up, the British stiff upper lip, you don't show your emotions. If you're going to cry, you go off into a dark corner when no one's around, and you have your little cry, and then just suck it up and move forward. Well, I mean, that worked for a while, but it was hard on my body, and physiologically my body did not like that. So I've learned over the years, cancer taught me that, right? So I've learned over the years that I need to honor the signals that my body is sending me so that I respond in a better way. So I started feeling the feelings. So it got me thinking about this whole topic of loss, because it's inevitable in our lives. When we have something or someone, the chances are pretty high that at some point we're going to lose them. If we have something in our life, the chances are pretty high that we're going to lose that, or a situation, or because we're here to experience, right? And if we want to have a vast array of experiences in all different ways, shapes, and forms, inevitably, just like the tide goes out and the tide comes back in, that's what happens in our lives, is that we have these experiences that come and then they go. We have people that come along and then they go. So, and we come along and then we go. So that's life. From a soul perspective, all is as it should be, and the universe is responding in the way that it's meant to. But from a human perspective, it doesn't seem to be that easy. Because first of all, we resist the change. If things are going along the way they normally do and we like it, well, even if we don't like it, we're used to it. So don't shake up my world. Don't rock my boat. Don't make me change. Is really like the status quo is comfortable. So when we're hit with a loss of any type, it's so important that first of all, we honor the feelings that come along to us. We honor whatever it is that's hitting us. So I have been experiencing some deep sadness, and at the thought of being without the people in my life that I most cherish. Now, I know from experience that the veil between us and our dearly departed is very thin. And they're there. They're there in our hearts, they're in our minds, they're in our memories. So they're not really gone. But when you can't physically touch them, then it feels as if they're no longer there. So, and as human beings, well, we're all about being together and belonging and feeling attached to. And when those connections or ties get severed, it's hard. It's really hard. It puts us in a very raw and vulnerable place. And that's not the way many of us were brought up. Many of us were brought up to be tough and to not show our feelings and to just carry on regardless. Like productivity is king, and we need to forge ahead no matter what. Well, I don't know about you, but that doesn't exactly work for me. It works temporarily, and there are times when it gets you through a place so that then you can deal with whatever it is. But if you refuse to deal with it, I guarantee that your body, so when we have an issue, when we don't address the issue, then it goes straight to the tissues in our bodies, and it hangs out there until something happens, and maybe it builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and then there's this explosion of emotion. Well, so how do we deal with that? How do we face the loss? I know I used to just run and hide and ignore it and deny it and pretend it wasn't there. I'd use all kinds of distractions from emotional eating to binge watching weird stuff on TV to diving into a book, to anything, so I didn't need to face what was right in front of me. I've learned better now. I've learned that in facing it and acknowledging whether I like it or not, it's happening, then that opens the door for me being able to decide what to do next. I can close the door again. I can go back into denial or whatever, but Opening the door then allows me to decide how I will proceed from there. Everybody's different. So it's important that you understand how you operate. Like, how do you deal with this? Some people, it's talk therapy. It's I just need somebody to talk to. I just need to be able to get out what I'm feeling and kind of explore that and just have some relief from talking. Other people just want to be alone. They just say, whoa, 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 I just need some space. I need to just retreat into a quiet area where there's no distractions and nobody to bug me. And some people write. So journaling for me in some of my toughest moments in life, writing it out and writing my feelings and exploring them, particularly if I didn't understand what was going on, or I was working to get to the root of the matter. It wasn't just the symptoms, it was going deeper and deeper. Then writing, journaling, that kind of thing really has made a difference for me and helped me resolve all kinds of things. So whatever works for you. Some people want to deal with it all at once and get it over with. So they have this huge explosion of emotion, and then it's like a tsunami of emotion, and then it's gone. Other people, little wave wash over them, and their boat gets rocked a little bit, and they deal with it and carry on, and then another wave at some other point comes and it rocks their boat again. For me, I find grief is like that, where I get these waves where everything is okay for a little bit and then it swamps me. And so when I deal with it, then it carries on through. It doesn't get stuck inside me. So that's been really helpful in looking at ways of how do we deal with those emotions, because emotions are coming from our heart, and our heart is what is the engine that drives us. Lots of people think it's the brain, but no, it's actually the heart. The heart has a brain that connects to our brain, and so it's important that we look in the heart space, that we stay connected to our hearts, because that's where we come up with our deepest, not only the deepest love comes from, but the deepest compassion and all of those feelings that are there in the full richness of life. And of course we're here for the contrast, right? So we can have extreme joy and ecstasy on one end and the deepest sorrow and hurt on the other. We can have intense, all-consuming love on one pinnacle, and then the other is the depths of we can move into deep hatred, even terrible anger, and we have great fear on one end, and incredible indomitable courage and determination on the other. Well, we're here to experience all of it. And of course, the more you're willing to plumb the depths and climb the heights, then the richer your life is going to be, the more you can experience that. Now, for some people, that's a little too much. And so they have the peaks and valleys aren't, the highs aren't quite so high, the lows aren't quite so low. Nothing wrong with that. That's just that you get to pick, right? You get to pick what works for you in life. What doesn't work so well is when we hang out in denial, when we refuse to face the reality of what's in front of us. Face it and accept it. Now, as I said before, we don't have to like it, but facing it makes it a whole lot easier, whether it's a mistake we made, whether it's a big trauma or a huge tragedy. At some point, coming to terms with that becomes really important. Now, In addition to that, when I thought about facing loss, it also occurred to me how important it is to honor what we've had. And this is where memory comes in. This is where our memories of time in a situation that's shifting, whatever has gone on for how many years, time with a loved one who is not going to be in your life in the same way anymore. Well, what do you remember about that? And the glimpses come, right? We just turn our attention to, well, what has it been like to have this friend in my life? And I remember the laughs we've shared all along, and the crazy giggles that we would get because something occurred, the tears we've shed together, the hugs, the watching her children grow, having her there for me when as my matron of honor when I got married for the second time, and just the myriad of experiences that we've shared that have meant so much to me. And not only do I get to honor the experiences, but I get to honor who she is as this lovely, talented individual with lots of grit and wisdom and all of those things put together, and blessing the fact that she came into my life when we were in our 20s, when she came into my life, and how that relationship has grown. So to pay tribute to that, and to each of us, my part in the relationship, her part in the relationship, and all that has created this rich fabric of connection that has meant so much. And I will treasure to the end of my days on planet Earth. So part of the beauty of being willing to face loss, or the potential for loss, is the ability to also honor and pay tribute to what we've had, to what's been special about that. And whether we have a memento of that time together. So my dear friend Joy gave me her television, for example, because she didn't want to take it with her. So so every time I turn that TV on, it reminds me of her. And so, and I'm wearing my mother's opal ring today, and it she's been gone since I was 17. Well, it's a memento of her life that I treasure. And so we have these things that remind us of how wonderfully we've been blessed with other people in our lives, and whether it's been for a very short time or whether it's been for a really, really long time, then it's important that we honor what has been, so that we can then transition to what will be from here on in. I look forward to whatever shifts and changes are going to happen, and at the same time, I can honor what's come before. So today, take a little time to think about what's been shifting and changing in your lives. I mean, for the last 2 years, we've had a huge awakening of what has come before, and do we want to carry on in the same way from here on in? So as we reflect, as we take stock of what's going on, this is a great time to decide, am I living my most magnificent life? Am I honoring myself as a magnificent being and honoring others? What can I do to transition to a better way, a way that's going to serve me even more in wherever I decide that I want to go in life. And when you take that time to really connect with your heart space and go inward to honor all that's come before, and cherish the fact that you have time to do maybe what hasn't been done before, or to move forward in ways that you never moved forward before, it can be a joyous life. You know you can do this because you're that magnificent. I want that for you. Have the most glorious week, my friends, and we'll see you next Friday. If you are enjoying Tea with Sue, I encourage you to download the app, The Magnificence Mentor. There's more videos on there, lots of content to help you live your most magnificent life. Please share with others, subscribe to my channel, and we'll look forward to the next Tea with Sue episode. Bye for now.